Hey, but this is Zaccheus with another live word of the day. And I thank you for tuning in. If you're coming in for the first time, I thank you. If you've been consistently supporting me, I thank you as well. Well, on today's episode, about 2 weeks ago, there was a young lady that came with a great story, had a story, and it was a story that I can relate to a lot. It was a story that I can relate to, and she said that she was telling a story about a young lady that had a boyfriend that sold his soul. A young lady that had a boyfriend that sold his soul to become a rapper. Now I entitled it "My Boyfriend Sold His Soul to Become a Rapper," and this young lady, about 8 minutes, is gonna share a story. It's about 8 minutes long. Gonna share a story about a young lady who had a boyfriend that wanted to become a rap. He became a rapper, but the rituals and sacrifices that his attitude changed, his spirit changed, and this young lady's gonna explain all of that on today's episode with Zaccheus with another live word of the day.
Girl emailed me and she was like, my ex-boyfriend sold his soul or channeled a demon to become a successful rapper. So I wasn't actually going to post a lot this week because I'm actually at my mom's house. I'm in her guest bedroom, but this one's really good. So she told me that she met this guy in high school. They went to high school together. He dropped out. She graduated. And actually in high school, they weren't together because he actually had a baby with like some girl that she knew. Like they weren't really friends, but whatever. He has a baby with her. She graduates. He had dropped out to become a successful rapper and like work on his rap career. After they graduate, somehow they get together. I'm not really sure the details on that, but pretty soon after they get together, she gets kicked out of her family's house. I don't really know the details on that either, but she said it's not really relevant to the story. So she moves in pretty soon after they start dating with him, his mom, and then sometimes his daughter's there. They have virtually no money. He's working a little bit. She's working at the mall. She's going to work every day. She's trying to help him provide for his daughter, and he's working on his rap career when he's not at work. He does a song that goes semi-viral around 2020. That song got attention of a big producer who lives in Los Angeles. The producer's team reaches out to him and basically tells him, hey, we want to bring you out here. We want to like work with you. And he's all excited. He goes to her. He's like, I can't believe this is happening. She's like, you need to go, baby. They fly him out. He doesn't talk to her a lot that day, but he basically just tells her, like, I'm with these people. Like, they're super important. They're teaching me everything I need to know. But he does FaceTime her that night while he's at the studio. He calls her the next morning. He's like, hey, I'm going to be pretty busy today. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to talk to you, but like, just so you know, everything is going really, really well. I'll tell you about it when I get home. He was supposed to fly home the next day. He was only there for 2 days. So he gets home. He's all excited. He says, like, he's going to continue working with these people. I don't know if there was like a contract signed or whatever, but basically he's hook, line, and sinker. He's in with them. He tells her about the producer, and then he tells her about this girl that's like the producer's assistant or like part of his team. I'm not really sure her role, but we're just going to call her Jazz for the story. And Jazz has sort of been like the point of contact that her boyfriend is working with this whole time. Like she's the one that reaches out on behalf of the producer. She's the one that makes all the travel arrangements. So the night that he gets home, after he tells her all about his trip, all about all the people, he just basically tells her, hey, I might be different for the next couple of weeks because I'm in work mode. Like this is what I'm doing now. I need to take it seriously. So like don't be offended if I'm a little bit different or if I'm a little bit distant because I'm not going to be able to dedicate as much time to you as I have in the past. She said up until that point, like they really did have a good relationship. He was a good boyfriend. He always tried to make her feel special, even though he didn't have a lot of money. He would always tell her, like, I'm going to get big so that I can get us a nice house. I can get my mom a big house. Like, we're going to have a really, really good life. Like, you just have to believe in me. And she did believe in him. So it's a day after he gets home from his trip. She gets home from work. He's in his room doing like recording or whatever he does. She walks in the bedroom after work to like change her. He turns his to look at her and he's like, what the F are you doing? Get the F out of here. She said he had never talked to her like that. She was like taken aback. Like, what's going on? It was like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, different person. So she's like, what is your problem? She's like, don't talk to me like that. And his face softens and he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I was just in the middle of something. He's like, I was just really, really into it. Like, you just surprised me. That's all. And so she's like, okay. Like, she lets it go because this is the first time it's ever happened. So she tries to be nice and she's like, well, show me what you're working on. Like, I'm invested. I want to know. So he brings his laptop over. They're sitting on the bed. He's playing her this song that he's been working on that I guess he worked on while he was in LA with these people. And his like iMessages pops up on his computer because she said his texts were linked to his MacBook. And the text is from Jazz. Like she sees the name and the text said, let me know when you meet him and how he works for you, LOL. He exits the message out almost as soon as it pops up. Like he did not want her to see it, she felt like. So she was like, what was that? Like, meet who? And he was like, oh, just another person that they work with. Don't worry about it. So she's like, okay, let's it go. A couple weeks go by. He has another trip to go out and meet these people and work with them. She takes him to the airport. She's like, let me know when you land. He's like, I will. I love you. Bye. Gets on the plane. He lands. He doesn't text her. She checks his location. They shared locations on the phone. She sees that he landed, but she figures he's busy. He got picked up as soon as he landed. She's also going into work, so she doesn't think about it. She goes to work. She checks her phone on her break. He still has not texted her. It's been like 4 hours. So she texts him. She's like, did you make it okay? Checks his location. He's somewhere else. Not the same address that he was at the first time he was there. So she's got like 30 minutes on her break. So she looks up the address in her Apple Maps or whatever, figures out it's a house. It's a nice house. She texts him again. She's like, just call me when you have a minute. No response. A couple hours later, she gets home from work. His mom's there. She's like, hey, have you heard from so-and-so, her ex? His mom's like, no, like, have you? And she's like, no. She's like, you should call him. So his mom calls him. He doesn't answer. The phone rings, so it's on, but he doesn't answer. So for the next 2 hours, her and her boyfriend's mom are trying to call him, but he's not answering. The phone's ringing. All the messages are being delivered. She goes like full FBI mode, and she realizes that his iCloud login is logged into his mom's iPad because his mom didn't have one. She used his account to like get games, or she used it for something. So it was logged into her iPad. So she logs into his messages. At this point in the email, she told me she doesn't care if other people think it's wrong or sneaky because you would do it too if you were in her situation. And she's able to pull up all of his text messages between him and Jazz. And she said when she first looked at the messages, she expected to find something like he was flirting with this girl or he was cheating or doing something scandalous. But actually, it wasn't the case at all. There were no flirty text messages, but the messages were like super cryptic and just didn't make any sense to her. She scrolls all the way back to when Jazz texted him, let me know when you meet him and how he works for you, lol. To which her boyfriend responded, I did meet him. He's already here. She said she couldn't make sense of a lot of the text messages, but there were other things that stood out to her. Like one text said, don't forget to practice what we taught you. Have you practiced today? There was another text that was sent at like 7 a.m. one morning when he was home, so not in LA. And it said, did you meet with him last night? How did you sleep? And there was another text because he had sent her a song clip that he was working on. And she had responded to the song clip saying, I can hear his influence clear in this one. The two of you are doing great things together. I'll send this to so-and-so, the producer, and I can't wait to see what the three of you do. So clearly they were talking about this other person that she had no idea who they were referring to because it wasn't the producer, it wasn't her boyfriend, and it wasn't Jazz. But he had been at home. Like there was nobody else involved with this process. So she checks his location again. He's still at that same house. He doesn't respond to her that whole night. She doesn't sleep at all that night. He finally calls her around 7 in the morning. He's like, I'm so sorry, baby. Like, I was working. I was learning how to do all this stuff. Like, we were at the studio late. She's like, I know you weren't at the studio. Look, I can see your location. And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, we were at his house. He tells her basically that he has another studio at his house and that they were mentoring him pretty late into the night. So he's there for a couple more days. He talked to her the whole time. She didn't get any weird vibes or anything. She picks him up a couple days later when he flies home. He gets in the car from the airport. He leans over to hug her. He pulls away. She notices like 3 burn marks on his arm. She said she would have thought it was like from like a straightener or like a curling iron, but it was like right in the middle of his forearm, like right here. She's like, what's this? He's like, oh, I scratched myself. She's like, it looks like a burn. He's like, no, I scratched myself. He brushes it off. He's like, oh my God, the biggest things are happening. Like, I'm going to be able to like, get us this house. I'm going to be able to get my mom a house. Basically, he's so excited. She doesn't want to ruin his thunder. So she's just like, okay, cool. They get home. She's all excited. She thinks they're going to have like a nice night together because she hasn't seen him in a few days. And he pretty much shuts himself immediately in the room. He's like, I have to work. I have to do this stuff. He doesn't really come out the whole night. She goes in the room later to check on him, to like hang out. He's already asleep in bed, but he's like mumbling in his sleep. She tries to wake him up because she's like, I want to hang. He mumbles louder, but she said it wasn't real words. It was like not even a real language, but he was just making these noises with his mouth. She just gets in bed next to him. She tries to fall asleep, but his mumbling intensifies. She's having a hard time sleeping. She finally falls asleep. She's woken up before the sun comes up because he grabs her in his sleep and he says, you can't take her too. She wakes him up. She's like, you're dreaming. He wakes up. He's like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what I was dreaming about. They fall back asleep. At some point in the night, he wakes up again and basically tries to like force himself on her. She basically tells him, no, I'm sleeping, to which like he had a bad reaction. She said she looked at him. His eyes were fully open. Like he was awake. She's like, what are you doing? And he then like snapped out of it. He was like, I'm sorry. I must have been dreaming. Over the next couple of weeks, his anger and his temper intensifies. He's pretty much always locked in his room working. He's constantly snapping at her, his mom, and his daughter. At one point, he yelled at his little daughter so loud that it scared her. She was crying. She ran to her to comfort her. So now she's like taking care of his daughter pretty much all the time. And then it comes time for him to go back to LA. So she's like, I want to go with you this time. He's like, okay, cool. They get to the airport. Board the plane. He brings a water bottle that he bought at the airport onto the plane. He gets up before the plane takes off to go to the bathroom. While he's in the bathroom, she takes a sip of his water. He comes back, sees that she took a drink of his water bottle, and he just like flips on her. And he's like, he didn't say that you could have any of his water. And she's like, who? This is yours. And then she said, wow. Change again. Like she saw his eyes change, and he was like, I'm sorry, like you can drink my water. Then she's like, okay, this person has like split personality. She lets it go. They get there. She goes to the studio with him. Everything's fine. She meets Jazz. Jazz is really, really cold to her, keeps talking to her boyfriend, but like is like very dismissive of anything that she says. She keeps making like inside jokes with him, and then she tells him after they're done that it's time for her to go back to the hotel while he comes over for mentoring. And the girl that emailed me is like, absolutely not, like I'm going with you. Boyfriend looks torn. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring her, like we'll drive separate. We're gonna go back to our hotel first and then we'll meet you guys over there. They go back to the hotel. He's trying to convince her to stay at the hotel. He's like, you really don't want to be over there while they're just giving me tips and tricks about the industry. She's like, no, I want to go. They go back and forth for a little bit. Finally, he's like, okay, you can come, but there's something I have to tell you. Every time I've been out here, we've been doing rituals. They showed me something that I can do to channel a
Rituals.
better part of
Heard
myself.
that?
And she said immediately she did not like this. Red flags, because she believes in God. She doesn't think that you should be channeling anything.
Oh God.
And she's a great storyteller. She went into detail in the story. That's what I like. And the truth of the matter is that I can relate to it because I tried to get into the music industry back in 03, 2003, 1998. Between 1998 and 2003, I was trying to break into the industry really bad. And then I realized that it affected me in every way because even with my now she's my wife, but before then we were engaged to be married, and it just then when we got married, in the process we separated because it does change your spirit. It changes you in a way where you just come out of character. And what she was explaining and saying in that in the story, that this young man attitude and character changed, and he was snapping at his girlfriend. I think his girlfriend, snapping at his daughter, snapping at his mother, just snapping because he was gonna everything was gonna change. He said he's gonna break into the music industry. Got called to go into LA, had a great record deal waiting out there for him. They wanted to work with him, and then as time went on, as he worked on his music at home, shut his door, and he did warn his family that he's gonna be different in the next few days because he's trying to break in an industry and try to provide too, so he can provide for his family. But his character and attitude changed, and it's not just his character and attitude, but what changed him was the demon spirit, the rituals he had to go through. And it's a good thing that his girlfriend went with him, fly out to LA to check the process out, because as she flew out to LA to check the process out, and his attitude and character and personality changed, dramatically changed, and he finally revealed that the third party is not the producer, the third party is not the other record, but it's just the rituals and the person that he channels to get into this wicked natural spirit that he channels to help him work better, to help him get through the process of recording and getting music out. Now, she didn't go into detail who the rapper is, but I can definitely relate to the story because I tried to break into the industry too. And the truth of the matter is that it does changes you when you on a grind. Is not even talking about gospel. I'm talking about secular. And when you certain things you have to do, certain rituals you have to get into in order for you to reach to the highest plateau. And I think this young man that was breaking into the industry, this rapper, he wanted to reach his highest plateau, so he had to channel some spirits. He had to channel some spirits so he can reach to the highest level. And he told his girlfriend the process. And as a result, his girlfriend, who was following God, broke up with him. She broke up with him. She broke up with him because she was like, listen, I didn't know you had to channel spirits just to get into just so you could reach to the highest plateau. And he told her this is just part of the process. He had to channel certain spirits just so he can break into the industry and can get that number one hit. And he was going through it. So those marks on his arms that he explained, those are not just regular scratch marks. Those are ritual marks. The dream, this when he was sleeping with her and he jumped at her, he was telling the demon not to take her too. Telling the demon not to take her too. And but this is part of the industry that people don't understand. Once you want to reach to the highest levels, By any means, but you have to sell your soul. This is what Katy Perry talked about. This is what Rihanna mentioned a long time ago about. You have to sell your soul in order to you to get to the highest level. I know because you're calling me a conspiracy theory. You're calling other tubers a conspiracy theory, but it's true. Certain things you're gonna have to do that is out of character that you're not gonna want to do in order for you to reach to that highest plateau. Let's turn to a scripture, Mark 8:36. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? You know, Jesus was tempted by the devil, and he and the devil showed him all the kingdom. If he bowed down and worship him, all the kingdoms, all the kingdoms that he could have and possess, only if he bowed down to worship the devil. The devil tempted Jesus, and then he tempted Jesus with. He looked at the stone, and Jesus was hungry. During his time in the desert, he was hungry in the wilderness, and the devil looked at Jesus and said, "If you are God, turn that stone into bread." And Jesus said to the devil, "Man should not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeded out of God's mouth." So even Jesus was tempted while he was in the wilderness, and the devil showed him the whole entire kingdom if he only bowed down and worship him. So, what is the profit of man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? It's just like the rich young ruler, who Jesus said he did everything. He obeyed the commandments. He did everything that the Bible required. But the one thing he didn't do, he could not give up his riches. He could not put down what he had to follow him. I just remember those times when I was grinding. Um, by any means necessary. Any means necessary. I wanted to get into the industry. I want to live the life of the artist. And yes, my attitude changed. Yes, my personality changed. Because you see, when you're panting after something and you're running after something that is not of God, God has nothing to do with it. God is not even being glorified in my music at that time. And so yes, I pushed things aside, made my family secondary, and I made the music that I was running after, the industry, I made that number one in my life. Made it number one. I was worshiping, wanted to get into being famous, and wanted to have all the fortune. That's what I wanted. Yes, I was doing what the young man was doing. I was um sacrificing family time, hitting the studio non-stop, recording every week. Hit the studio every week. At least it'd be like at least twice a week. But I would just take all my money and put it towards the recording studios and just sacrifice that time with the family. And that sacrifice, I push aside. No, I wouldn't sacrifice. I push aside the family so I can have that studio time. And what I did was I took my paycheck and I put it towards the recordings first. And that's what I did every week. And I just locked my door, write songs, and just focus on just what's the next song I'm gonna hit, what's the next song I'm gonna do, and hit every week faithfully. I would just hit the studio recording, spending money in recording studios, spending money for marketing, and that was my life. Let's turn to a scripture, Deuteronomy 18 verses 10. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens or a sorcerer. So in the book of Deuteronomy 18 talks about channeling different spirits, sorcerers, omens, and this is part of the rituals. And certain rituals this young man had to go through and practice in order for him to get adjusted to his new life with the new record deal that he had in LA. So he had to adjust. He had to break into different omens and offerings and sacrifices, certain things he had to do that he probably didn't want to do, but he had to do it in order for him to fit in order for him to get in and to stay in.
When you get to a level of success, when you getting 30, 40, 50,000 a show, you platinum, you running across the world. There's three different doors, right? There's three different ways to walk. There's to the left, there's to the right, and then there's straight. Straight is you're on your own. Let's see if you continue this success, young man. Okay. Let's see if it's all about your skills, young man. Let's really see that. Okay. You went straight. To the right, I'm not sure if that's the homo shit right there. And then there's to the left, I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice shit going on right there. I'm not sure because I went straight. But I was offered these doors. I don't, no. I'm saying that to the right when I seen it, those was those guys over there. I just chose to go straight. And I haven't been platinum since. When you get to a level of success, when you get in third.
And as successful as Nori is back then, in the early 2000s, you see, he had to make the sacrifice. He went straight, and you see, the rituals was the homo rituals, the LGBTQ rituals, and it was the drug rituals. And he took the narrow path, and he didn't go platinum ever since. And but Nori now is a successful. He's a co-CEO of Drink Champs. It's a very successful podcast. That goes to tell you the sacrifices he had to make. The sacrifices he had to make. So that goes to tell you that rituals you do have to, and omens you do have to sacrifice your soul in order for you to reach a certain level of success in the wicked industry. Now the live word of the day is coming out of John 17:17. Sanctify them in truth. Your word is truth. Sanctify them in truth, Lord. Your word is truth. Let them know that it's emptiness. When you sacrifice your soul, you sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice character, your integrity. You sacrifice a whole lot. You sell your soul in order for you to fit in. And the day you don't fit in, they spit you out. They spit you out, and you'll never, like what Nori just explained, he never reached the level of success once he chose to not do the rituals, once he chose not to go ahead and just sacrifice his soul. Well, this is Zaccheus with another live word of the day. God bless and be safe. And if you like what I shared, smash that like button. Also, subscribe to my channel, Zaccheus Gospel. I always got more coming for you. God bless and be safe out there. Peace and blessings. Until next time.